What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Lambo's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the DX9 Sideswipe, or as they call him, Red Storm. This is on loan to me from Scott M, so shout out to him. I appreciate the opportunity. I haven't decided whether or not I'm interested in this piece, but Scott has loaned me figures before that have caused me to buy them, and maybe this will be one of them. Time will tell. Also, I think Jordan W is going to drop off the Bad Cube figure for me, so I think I'm going to do a versus of those, but that'll probably be on Patreon. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this guy, but in order to do so, we need to first start with accessories. So he comes with two of these weapons, these, like, I guess hammers, or chisels maybe. They're pretty cool. So they extend, which is nice, and then these two sections will come off, and you can pop his hands off and replace them with these kind of, like, you know, that thing from that episode things, like both sides pop off, just so you're aware. Painted with a gunmetal silver, and I think looks really cool. And he'll hold them just fine. He comes with his rifle. It is painted one shade of white. The other cannon is shaped the other shade of white. We'll get to that as we get into the figure. And decent sculpt. And you have a hole and a peg. The hole is so that it can be utilized as a shoulder-mounted weapon. Plugging in here to the side. The peg is so it fits into the palm of his hand, but he can only really hold it in his right hand, because there's no peg on this side to go in his left. He also comes with the rocket launcher. This is the more kind of like white, whereas the other one's more of an off-white or a bluish white, or maybe even purple. And it's sculpted very nicely. Once again, we have a peg and a hole. The hole, once again, is for this shoulder, and it can go on either side. And then the peg is for the palm of his hand, and he can hold that just fine. He also comes with two side mirrors that plug into the side of the car. This is Scott M's, and I'm not 100% sure that I want to take these out of here and risk throwing them into the ether of what's around this workspace. If you saw it, you'd understand. But I'm sure they peg into the car just fine. So size comparison wise with Tiger Tracks, you know, the original mold there, a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact, about as wide, you know, similar anyway, maybe a little thinner. Let's talk about the vehicle. So we got rubber tires, die-cast wheels, clean underneath. It's light. It's a light piece. That doesn't make it inherently bad. Weight doesn't have any value. It's just how we perceive it in our caveman brains. The translucent blue looks good, except for the fact that you can see underneath, and then it looks like Lightning McQueen. That's Robert D's joke. I can't take credit for it, but ka-chow. We got the translucent blue here as well for the headlights. And and then these also raise for the high beams, I guess. I've never driven a Lambo. Probably never will. Nice red line work on the windows. That looks good. The black poking through looks good, so to speak. Close these up. Yeah. I mean, it's a good-looking car. You know, what else are you going to say? It's a Lamborghini, right? It seems to be painted, but I'll be able to tell a little bit better when we get into the figure. But it seems to be painted. The red on the translucent blue is definitely painted because it's a different color than the red here. But yeah, I mean, it's a good looking car, man. You know, what do you want me to say? Rolls like a champ. All right, ladies and gents, so we got to fillet this thing open. All right. So we're going to untab this. Well, untab is a weird word, but we're going to rotate it up. We are going to untab this back piece. So you're going to probably need a tool for some of this. There. That's loose. On the front, we need to untab these wheels from the side of the arms here. And then on the front, on the top, we need to loosen up these connections here open up these side doors too if you can to get a little extra wiggle room. This thing is so like jam-packed. But you need to open this up and slide this out. There. Not the most elegant thing in the world. And I'm not the most elegant man in the world, so, you know, when you have these two components working in concert, it's not always going to be the smoothest, right? Alright, let's see here. Nothing so far. There. Struggled with that for a bit. You can kind of get these arms up and out of the way the best you can to help. You got to do all of that just to get this up and cleared off of these two door dovetails or whale tails or duck tails. Woo. There. Good night, man. They've just, I don't know. They haven't made that the most enjoyable process in the world. All right, so then we got to get these legs up, out, and around. Up, out, and around. And now we've got this thing filleted. Okay, there's been some points of contention regarding this leg and all the stuff you have to do regarding it. So I'm going to show you what Mark Troy, he hit me up. He's got a YouTube channel as well, so check him out, and gave me like a little cheat code for it. Supposedly, I haven't tried it yet, but tuck this wheel in. You've got to kind of clear that window, which I can tell you is not the best feeling in the world. That wasn't in his cheat code, I'll tell you. And then you got to flip the flaps here to sort of connect that. And then you can bend this foot down, right? This toe is die cast, so it's not the easiest thing in the world. But then you can rotate this up a bit, and that will give you the clearance to sort of get that side panel in without, you know, a whole lot of bending plastic around other plastic. All right, then you can fix all that, tuck that in. This has a series of tabs, you'll feel them, that you got to connect, and then straighten the foot out. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to move this out of the way. This is actually a breeze compared to those first couple steps. This is, you got to kind of fold the wheel in, clear that window, open up, flip your flaps here, rotate your foot. There's a tight little connection there too. And then flatten it out. And then rotate it forward, this white panel. And then that will give you the clearance. This one's still a little tight, but nothing like what I've seen other people talking about. And then, I have more of an issue with that tire. Fold that in. Rotate the foot back down. Wrap this around. And connect all your points here on the side of the leg. All right, flip the arms down. Extend the forearms from the biceps. And then flip the thumb out. Rotate the hand down. Flip the thumb around. Thumb out. Hand down. Thumb around. This piece here, I was talking to Sam from Shop Talk. For those that are on the Patreon, know that he's a third-party designer. We have a show once a month where we kind of talk about Transformers and what's new in the space. This whole reason for this faux chest here, you push it out from the back, by the way, is so that you can put a repro label there of the Autobot symbol and tuck the other piece of the chest away so that it can have kind of the magical appearing Autobot symbol that like wasn't there in car mode and now is there in robot mode. That's the whole reason for that, which is clever. I had said to him in a text that it might have been a cart before the horse thing, but I think as long as it works, you know, as long as it doesn't get in the way of the process, then it's a really cool and interesting idea. So anyway, I say all that to say this, push that out. It's stuck back like this, push it out. Onto the backpack. Spoiler out of the way. Rotate this piece up. And then up again. And then rotate these pieces down. Now, you have to fold this just right. There's a piece here that wants to naturally bend. That's not going to get it done. Because this spoiler needs to sit up over the highest point of these flank pieces. So there's another joint here at the top of the windshield. So make sure that you have that activated as much as possible. And then fold the spoiler up in. And you need for that to sit up high enough where that spoiler, there we go, will sit in there. And then you have these two red tabs on each side that need to go into the flank and plug into there. There's one, and there's the other. Not impossible, obviously, but it is a matter of finesse. All right, fold his ears around to the front of his head on both sides. Where the neck flap is, you want to spin that one panel down, and then drop it in. And then you can sort of maneuver the head a bit. All right, and then we have these chest panels. So bring these up. There's a bar here too that you want to kind of get clearance on, but let's see if I can't get that out of the way. Okay. Bring these down. Make sure that all this is lined up. And this is going to plug into the abdomen and into these notches here in that square right below his neck. All right, and then if you need to adjust your Autobot insignia piece, just do so at your own leisure. All right, same to get this black piece out of the way. You want to bring this down, line it up. You got to tab it into the chest and into the abdomen. There. All right, so finishing touches, rotate the thighs 180 degrees, rotate the waist 180 degrees, and then these tabs need to come down and tab on to the spoiler. There's one. If you need to use a tool, you can put some pressure here on the back of the spoiler, and that should allow you to line it up a little bit if it's a little out of alignment. Anyway, you saw me get one. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at it. And we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. And I think it looks good. The mouth features are perhaps a little soft, and the eyes get lost a bit just from how deep the face sits in the helmet. Now, these are harsher lights on it than maybe most, but I don't know. It's not perfect, but it's not bad either. The head is on a ball peg. Get you up to there. Down is a little limited. Side to side, little limited. and you get a confused Sideswipe face. Let's back out a little bit. We'll take a look at these arms. So universals. The universal's connected to another hinge. Oof. So little limited up as well. And that just came unplugged. Little limited up. No, there you go. Yeah. Just feels like you're like pushing stuff around other stuff. Little shy of 90 degrees. 360 around. No issues there. No butterfly. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow. Get you the full run. Wrist swivel. Finger on a ball peg comes out to another hinge at the base of the thumb. And then the fingers are all connected on a base pin knuckle and then a secondary knuckle. Obviously the hands removed. If they were going to do limited articulation like this in the hands, I think I would have preferred them to have posable swap out hands. Alright, I have a couple of things to say about this figure widely, but we'll get to it here in a second. Chest looks good. The Autobot thing is an interesting touch. The windows here, the headlights I think add a little bit of flavor to it, which is nice. Waist swivel. I like the two bumps there too, so to speak. And then the 90-degree ab crunch toleranced well as well. Let's back out and look at the whole figure. While we're here, there's two different shades of white. Right? There's this and there's this, which is Sunbow accurate in some scenes. My issue with it is that this is supposed to be the same color as this, but this is left unpainted because it's die cast. But that's not okay to me, because either do it or don't do it, right? Like you have this off-white color, the same as with the guns, which matches the deco of the Sunbow, but it doesn't match the feet. So it's like either go all the way or you know, maybe keep it all white, or keep it all this off-white, whatever. Like, just make it look a little bit more uniform, because it looks a little bit weird that there's white here poking through. The silver shoes look a little weird. Then the two shades of white are off-putting slightly, in my opinion. All right, it's not the end of the weirdness here. Okay, so there's hip skirts here, hip skirts here, hip skirts here, hip skirts here on the back. Screws here, detail here. I think this is an error, some way, shape, or form. I think these were probably meant to be flipped. I don't know. This seems wrong. Now, the problem, if it were even flipped, is that the does bump up against the hip, though, and this gets you all the way forward. Either way, a very strange choice. So you get forward and back to there, out to the side to there, which is good range. The white accent, thigh swivel very tight, and there's some paint chipping on this thigh on this copy. Knee, you have a hinge here, but it gets you past 90 degrees. So it's a single hinge knee, but it gets you past 90 degrees, just not the full run. Now, also, because of the transformation and the way that the knees lock together, you do get wiggle waggle in the knee, which causes a little bit of a gap and can be a little unsightly unless you clean it and dress it up and be sure to. Not the biggest deal in the world, just pointing it out. Silver accents look good. The black paint here, the glossy black paint, is a really nice touch. Wheels are okay. You know, and then there he is from the back. Incredibly clean. Incredibly clean. This is not a bad figure, but it's not a knockout figure either. It's a mixed bag. You know, there's a lot of good here, and then there's a couple things that I think we should be critical of here. Let's do size comparisons. Size comparison wise, there he is next to Sunstreaker. So, I mean, pretty much perfect size. You know, Sunstreaker's probably a little taller because he has a little bit of a wider A stance. Let me see if I can't. I don't know, man. It's pretty close. I say they look pretty good next to each other. There he is next to the Takara. You know, I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do. He is a significant upgrade. It's the slender chest that does it. I'm nostalgic about the Takara one at this point. And there's things that I have, criticisms of, obviously. I don't know. My mind is yet to be made up. Let's do some final thoughts. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negative. And we'll start in car mode. I don't like the use of the translucent blue on the windows. You're going Ultra Tune. I say go all the way Ultra Tune if that's what you want to do. On top of that, it exposed the inner guts, which makes him look like Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow. While we're on the topic of the car, I don't see a way for any of the weapons to incorporate into the vehicle mode. Just sucks for storage and for some of the gimmicky stuff that we're used to with Masterpiece cars. That'll take us into the transformation, where there are a couple wonky donkey spots. A couple places where you gotta kind of move plastic around plastic. A couple places that are kind of just a pain, like getting the hood loose from the windshield, getting the spoiler lined up just right with the backpack, getting the backpack lined up just right with the back. Just a couple things that are just not, the most fluid, that seem a little rough around the edges. Like DX9's got to dust all the cobwebs off and not just a few. Which brings us to robot mode, tying back into if you're going to go tune, go all the way tune. Paint the toes to match the color of the Sunbow animation to match the arms so that you're actually doing what you're setting out to do. The knees are a little wonky. I didn't mention the ankle articulation. You do get an ankle rocker. It's done with just the toes, but it counts. No ankle tilt up or down. But while we're on the topic of articulation, you got weird side-to-side knee articulation, and the shoulders are limited. The head's a little limited too, so to speak. There's also that weird thing with the hips where the screws are visible in the front, and it looks like the molding for the sculpt is on the back, which seems like a mistake, but it gets in the way of articulation. Just seems like, once again, the dust process wasn't completely done, and there's a few cobwebs left on their design process. The hands are a little wonky, with just the base pin knuckles and secondary knuckles being pinned together, so you're a little limited in what you can do with posing them. Also, the thumb kind of operates in a weird way. It's hard to get it like close down by the palm of the hand. It would have been nice if they just included alternate hands, since they have that swap out hand feature with those weapon gimmicks. And I think that's all I got. For all that, though, I don't think this is technically a bad piece at all. I like the paint that's on it. It's good sculpt work. The materials are good plastics. It's light, but light's not indicative of quality. The plastics are good. The articulation, for the most part, works well to include double jointed elbows, full ab crunch, good range hips, fair range knees, etc. It's not anything outstanding, but I would say it's above average. There is some interesting stuff that's done with the transformation, like allowing you to have the kind of magic pop-up appearing Autobot symbol in the middle of his chest, as well as very intuitive and straightforward leg transformation and arm transformation. I love the axes. I love the hammers. I think they look cool, and I think they say something about the character. The car mode looks good. And most importantly, one thing I think that they've really fixed here is DX9's proportions. DX9 has a history of sometimes not really nailing down the robot proportions well. This guy's proportioned incredibly well, so that's one of the biggest sort of improvements I've seen from the last time I've taken a look at their figures. At any rate, I'm happy to have them back. I think this is a good enough piece to recommend. Just know it probably won't be making my top 5 best or worst figures of the year. It's just a figure that came out, but it's a good enough one. Hope that helps. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.